The bottom line of this whole thing, I believe, in business is relationship. That's it. I mean, I know that's pretty obvious, but your ability to get market share in your farm is going to come down to your relationship with the people in that farm. All right. So let's look at, that being said, let's look at 3 reasons why old farming then doesn't work like it used to. The first problem I see with old-fashioned farming is that it's self-promoting, right? It's like, I just listed that, I just sold that, check me out. And a lot of this self-promotion, and the reason why it doesn't feel good is because most of us don't like to self-promote. We don't like talking about ourselves. We'd rather do something else, but because we haven't been taught any other way to do it, this is what we think we're supposed to do. And the other piece of that is that it turns into a monologue, right? Have you ever had a friend or met somebody who, like, all they ever do is talk about themselves, and they don't really ask you questions, and they don't really dive into your life? It's really hard to be around those people. But a lot of our marketing efforts in the industry are very monologue-y, right? Like, we kind of come from this place of, like, we just talk at people. Seth Godin had this email, it was a couple months ago now. Seth Godin had an email that went out, and he was quoting Jay Levinson from Guerrilla Marketing, and he said that marketing has always been about contribution, and it's not so much marketing to people or at people, it's marketing with them and for them. And I love that, because I feel like that marketing at people and to people is about monologuing. But marketing with them and for them is about adding value and understanding their needs and coming alongside of them, right? And helping them with something. And I think we're in desperate need of that in our industry. So the first reason why I think that old farming doesn't work like it used to is that it's self-promoting, and I think people are sort of tired of that. The second reason that it doesn't work like it used to is it's expensive, right? Like, historically, farming has been a direct mail strategy, maybe with a little door knocking mixed in, but for the most part, they'll pick let's say you pick 1,000 home farm and you just start mailing to all 1,000 people. Now, not all those people are probable sellers. So we just end up spending money on stuff that, 1, doesn't necessarily develop a relationship, but 2, is hitting people that aren't really in the market to sell. So it becomes really expensive. And because it's expensive, we don't, as agents, a lot of times we don't sustain it. We're not willing to continue the expense without a return. And that's why it doesn't work, because farming takes time, right? And I think the other piece of that then is, if it's passive, if we're spending money on something, but we don't necessarily know when or how we're going to get a return on that, we kind of start questioning it. Like, man, I've been doing this for 12 months. Like, when is it going to pop? When will I get an actual listing in my neighborhood? And because it's passive, it doesn't work, right? We don't want to continue to do it. So that's the second reason. The third reason I think that old-fashioned farming doesn't work is that I believe it's one-dimensional. When you just do postcards over time, and that's what makes it linear, right? It's one thing over time, like, okay, every 3 weeks I'm going to send a postcard. It doesn't give you the leverage that adding dimension to your efforts, or layers. We're going to talk about this towards the middle of this training, but if we could layer ourselves into our farm besides just a postcard, we would actually start to develop visibility and relationship with people. And it would make it, instead of linear, it'd make it dimensional, right? So that's what I don't like about old farming, is that it's very passive and it's very one-dimensional.